What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode here of Radio Wigwam's Palangi Studio of Rock every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 UK. I am broadcasting from the home studio here in upstate New York. Today, we have playlist guest David Nestor, drummer and drum tech extraordinaire. He's been on some of my stuff, some of my clients' stuff. He's currently in the Tennessee, actually, right now, but he's going to be moving soon somewhere. We got him on the line here. You just heard his band song, Enemy, new song called Hourglass. David, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on?
Just relaxing. Probably going to play some drums here shortly after we chat. Been jamming some songs going over this little playlist I made for this radio interview. I'm pretty excited to go over some of these songs.
Yeah, they're really cool. I haven't heard a lot of them, so I'm exciting to actually just listen to them for the first time.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of good ones in here, man.
Now you are leaving for a tour with your band here soon.
Actually, I'm leaving to go drum tech first with System of a Down for a festival date, and then right after that, I'm flying to meet the guys to do some support dates for Conquer Divide. So it'll be Conquer Divide headlining, Enemy as support, and then a couple other openers for about 5 or 6 shows.
Now we've had you on the show before. Explain really quick who you've done some drum tech stuff for. This is so cool, everybody.
Okay. So I mean, I've worked for quite a few artists. A lot of times people ask for the bigger names, so I guess I'll just list a few of them. Started off kind of at the arena level with Marilyn Manson. Then I moved to Korn for a while. Then I moved to Greta Van Fleet after that. Then I ended up playing drums for Aaron Lewis from Stained for a little while, and then ended up working for Stained after that as well. More recently, I just joined the crew for Disturbed, so I'm the drum tech for that camp, and been doing that for a couple of years now. And then been bouncing back and forth between some artists this year: Lady Gaga, Seether, I Prevail, and tomorrow I'll be leaving to go with System of a Down. So it's been a wild ride.
That is a impressive list, my friend.
Appreciate that, man. It's a lot of hard work, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I know those, especially drum tech guys, that's all you are, is on the road and you're doing this and, is there less pressure because you're not performing though?
It kind of depends on the gig. A lot of people that I've met that do this for a living, they actually feel more pressure being the tech because if any of the electronics or mechanics fail, that's kind of on that person.
That's
So
true.
I don't know. I would say there's an equal amount of pressure, but once you've done this for a little while, there's probably less pressure as a tech. But I enjoy playing more than I do teching, even though teching is really cool to be able to
Yeah.
be
Yep.
the go-to guy for some of my idols, you know.
So you know how to solder a microphone?
If you need me to,
That's cool. I don't know how to do that, but
it's not
yeah,
too bad.
you got drum mics, you got everything, hardware
Yep.
fails, plenty of I've seen your bag. So, we I'll tell you the story coming back here, but we're gonna play some songs here. We got some Blindside, some POD, Under Oath. These are all David's top rock and metal songs. We'll see you guys in a few. Coming back here on Palangi Studio of Rock, we have guest David Nestor for his top rock and metal playlist coming up here. We're just talking about his tour dates coming up, and everyone's probably like, how the heck do you know each other? Little coincidence, we were born in the same town, but lived in different states our whole lives.
Yep. Pretty ironic how that works, isn't it?
That's wild. I don't even remember how I came across you. I think it was just through a search, and I'm like, okay, this guy's a drum tech. And then I seen one of your videos. I was like, oh, I got to get him on the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably some drum covers or maybe some tech videos or something like a day in the life kind of thing or tour vlogs. I've done a lot of those on my YouTube channel.
Yep. Yep. You might have even
Yeah.
been actually, I think you were recommended by Eric Rogers.
Good.
I'm
Happy to hear that.
pretty
Eric's a really nice
sure
guy. Yeah.
we
I
were
like
going to
Eric.
have him on the show too, but there was a rain out date with Chris Young, and I was going to get some video and do another thing, but we'll have him on again and do an update here. But going back here,
Cool.
so when we met, right, we I seen you at the Ace Frehley show. You were drum teching. You had your kit of stuff. Like we were talking about, if anything goes wrong, you have to basically repair everything.
Yep. So I have a work box is what we would call it, that I keep with me on fly dates or for smaller gigs. Like the Ace Frehley gig was flying to all the shows, not a lot of um, room for extra gear. So for Disturbed, I have an actual work box that's a rolling uh, hard hard case that has a ton of tools that you might need as a drum tech, and it has a lid that pops off, turns into a table, easy to change drum heads, easy to polish cymbals and work on different parts and pieces.
Mhm.
But when it comes to not as big of a production, I have a Pelican, which kind of has been the industry standard for cases that people are using nowadays for at least carry-on cases. And I have an organizer in there that kind of separates all my different tools and different things that I would need, like cymbal polish, drum kit polish, towels, extra felts, extra tension rods, a Leatherman tool, all the different kinds of Phillips head, flathead, hex tools, all the things you might need for a drum tech, tons of drum keys, moon gels, yeah, all kinds of stuff. There's
Everything,
actually a video on
everything.
my YouTube channel that goes a little bit more in depth of my carried work box, and then my solid one that rides on a semi with Disturbed.
And you have a lot of patience, to do all that stuff. It's takes a lot of time.
Yeah, it's a different breed. But once you've done it for a little while and you get into a good routine, it's really nice. It's really nice to get on tour and actually like find yourself in a tour routine to where you can kind of schedule your workouts. If you're into fitness, you can try to eat healthy and schedule when you can sleep, because a lot of times sleep is a hot commodity for a crew depending on what tour you're on, which not a
Yeah.
lot of people talk about. But
Yep.
the crew definitely gets stretched pretty thin when it comes to sleep schedules. We'll do like a headline show until like 12 or 1 in the morning, get back at the hotel at 2. Then we have a lobby call sometimes at 4 a.m. So you're looking at maybe an hour of sleep. So it really just depends on what gig you're working on and where you're at in the world.
Wow. That's great. I got to sleep like 10 hours a day to function.
I think I can usually do 5 or 6 is solid and sufficient
Wow.
for me, but
Wow.
definitely catch up on days off though. Days off on tour, if I ever don't respond, it's probably because I'm sleeping.
Yep. I hear that. It's like I slept for, 14 hours, 20 hours.
Yep, yep,
Yep.
it
Well, so what
happens.
we got Thrice coming up with All That Remains and Between the Buried and Me. Talk about
Mhm.
one of these bands. Why did you pick these bands?
Well, after talking to you about it, I kind of wanted to throw in a bunch of the bands that influenced my love for music and my love for drumming. So shout out to all the drummers for all these bands. Luckily enough, I was able to work for Thrice, or not Thrice, All That Remains. That was one of my
That's
first
right.
bands I ever drum teched for. So I got to know those guys really well, and I respect them even more after working for them. But I was a fan before I worked for them. So that's always something to keep in mind, that you can work your way up in an industry and even work for your idols, which is cool. But I would say the biggest influence on my music would be a balance of all these bands, but Thrice is definitely one of the top. So The Artist in the Ambulance was really the first album that I fell in love with by this band, and the self-titled, or the main song, The Artist in the Ambulance, on that album is just so amazing. If you read the lyrics and listen to like the progression, and I don't know, it's hard to top the songwriting that Thrice um, does. They've had so many good albums that have matured with them over the years, because their first album was like super punk rock, and they've
Yeah,
slowly reached into the world of rock and then soft rock, and then they've had some really cool groovy stuff recently. So I mean, they touch almost every base. They're really talented. So love Thrice.
oh yeah. I don't think I knew that with All That Remains. Maybe I seen a poster or something like that, but you almost feel like a little bit more connected to the band, right? Once you work for them, you're like, I know the music, but now I kind of know how everything works.
For sure, for sure. And yeah, same with Between the Buried and Me. I never got to work for those guys, but you said you're playing Mirrors, which is one of their songs coming up.
Yep. Yep.
They're an amazing band, and their drummer Blake Richardson, holy cow, he's just super talented and very educated, and he still, even to this day, takes lessons from people that he looks up to and keeps up on
That's
sharpening his
awesome.
craft.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Palangi
super
Studio of Rock
respectable.
here. We'll be back in a few minutes here with David Nestor. Coming back here, Palangi Studio of Rock. You guys can go into our social media and chime in to see, what we're playing. There's a lot of shows here on Radio Wigwam, and who do you want to see interviewed next or hear? You know what I mean? So most of these interviews, if you go over to the YouTube channel or our Facebooks and all that stuff, you will find video versions of it. My playlist shows here are audio only because it's kind of a quick update. And I like to do that. It's funny, David. I got to host the Ozzy's Boneyard on Sirius XM radio, the Ultimate Sinner show, and you're like, yeah, that's great, man. Make sure you play the some my band's tunes, the Enemy songs, man. I was like, this is a classic rock radio station. This is Ozzy's radio station. But anyways, it gave me the idea of like I could picture us talking if I ever got one of those gigs from here and on out of you checking in every once in a while, and it's like, do you remember when I was in that apartment, we did the Zoom interview and then we did this and now we're on Sirius XM?
That would be awesome.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
We are on FM airways, the equivalent in the UK right now. So that's they're gonna slowly buy some territory and reach out more there. So that's cool. So I have to kind of remember that now. Everybody tuning in on the digital FM airways and AM stuff. Hello, welcome.
Welcome.
Yeah, man. So next two songs, As I Lay Dying, right? And So Cold I Could See My Breath. I don't know who that band is. Never heard of them.
Oh, that's the name of the song. The band is called Emery.
Oh, gotcha.
Yep.
I still never heard of them.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, so when I was younger, I grew up in a very conservative Christian home, so I was only able to really listen to Christian music, at least for a while. And Emery was one of them. They're another Solid State band, similar to Under Oath. Solid State and Tooth and Nail Records, they were like, one was a parent label and the other one was kind of, I think Tooth and Nail was more mainstream, and then Solid State was a subsidiary, and they decided to go on the heavier route.
Oh, record label. Yeah, I remember those labels. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I found these different bands, like Under Oath or Emery. But in any case, As I Lay Dying, definitely a huge influence on me when it came to drumming. Jordan Mencina, the original drummer, amazing drummer. He was one of the first guys I heard do blast beats and a lot of double bass, back when they were still considered a Christian band, which they're not anymore. But Emery was another band with really, really creative drumming. And interesting vocals to go from singing to screaming, and pretty good harmonies and stuff. So a lot of good influences through these bands. But yeah, I think you might dig Emery more than As I Lay Dying. As I Lay Dying is pretty heavy.
Yeah.
But they have very catchy singy choruses.
Okay.
Yeah,
because I know there's some heavy Christian rock metal stuff out there. I started with like Red and Pillar and Day of Fire and all those guys, and
oh yeah,
gotten a lot
I
heavier.
remember all those bands.
Oh yeah. And well, I play their stuff once in a while, gotta keep it alive.
Not a bad idea. I mean, they're back on tour now too. Pillar is.
Yes, yeah, I've seen they got a couple dates going on there. I know he's busy with Kelly Clarkson stuff for the show and stuff, and I've worked with Lester, the drummer, for about 10 years on my music too. So he's always a busy guy, that guy.
Yeah, solid drummer though.
He hits hard. And he's like a workout guy, so his arms are huge and stuff.
Yeah, that'll do that.
That's funny though. What do you think of that? Like some drummers, right? Real skinny, real fast. They could hit as hard as heck as somebody that's Arnold Schwarzenegger, let's say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think live, it's definitely, especially in the rock world, for instance, because I've played rock, metal, country, all the different genres for the most part. Some gospel stuff in church or whatever. But one of the things that I try to make sure I do in Enemy is hit accurately and hit with a lot of velocity. It's part of the performance piece, in my opinion, for heavier rock bands, and it's really important. So I'm glad to hear that Lester hits really hard with Pillar. He probably tones it back a little bit for Kelly Clarkson, I'm assuming, but that's just probably him being professional, because he knows how to play. And
Oh
play
yeah.
different ways for different gigs.
It's
So
still it's still in
uh,
there. You can tell by the way it hits the snare, but yeah.
yeah, yeah, I believe it. I hit pretty hard even when I was playing with Aaron, but I definitely laid back way more than I do for Enemy.
Yeah, not in
So
the
I hit
current
with.
Nickelback drum cover that we just did. You
You think I
slammed
hit
on
hard
that
enough on
one.
that one?
Yeah, I could
Good,
tell.
good. Yeah, I mean that's another band. I mean, you wanna see and feel the drums, you know?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be back here in a few minutes and we're going to round out the show with some Stained and another song from David's band Anime. Well, coming back, thanks for hanging out here today on Radio Wigwam's Palangi Studio of Rock, broadcasting from the studio here. We had a playlist guest, David Nestor, drummer, drum tech extraordinaire. We worked together. This guy's really good. He, get him to drum on your stuff. When he moves, he gets all set up. He's got a new studio. Let's get him on everybody's records. What do you think?
Sounds good to me. Yeah, hire me.
I have.
Oh, I know you have. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm always down to play, man. I
Oh
want to
yeah.
keep recording as much as I can when I'm not on the road.
There you go. Yeah, playing is really fun. So what I threw in because he worked with Stained, obviously, so I threw in a Stained song and we're gonna play one more song. Talk about Clarity. I know you did a drum playthrough for that, and
Yep.
you're talking about hitting hard on the other break, and it's like that style for what your band is a lot, right? It happens a lot, and that's kind of the tone and kind of the style of that rock music is to not
Mhm.
hold back, to hit as
Mhm.
slam and as powerful as you can.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So when I joined the band, because I'm not the original drummer, but when I joined the band, all the planets aligned, I guess you could say. Because I had already had a decent reputation as a drummer, and they actually reached out to me to see if I knew any drummers I would be interested in trying out. Because I grew up with a couple of those guys back in Ohio, and after they auditioned some guys, I joked with them. I was like, "Well, if nobody works, let me know. I'll come play drums for you." And the singer called me and he was like, "Were you serious about doing that? Because we would love to have you because we haven't had any luck finding anybody that really fits what we
Nice.
need." And I was like, "Yeah, man. As long as we can work out my touring schedule with our show schedule, I'm definitely down." So that's how it worked. And those guys all work full time currently, so we can't tour just yet, but we're working on some things. Um, that tour we're coming up on doing with Conquer Divide. It's like I said, it's only 5 or 6 dates, so they can still balance it with their home life.
Yeah.
Um,
That's the hardest part if you
but
had a
yeah,
full-time job. Eventually, if you get busy enough, right, you'd kind of have to quit it.
yeah, you definitely would, or get a fill in for certain tours, which we've discussed if we need to. Everybody but Brady could probably get a fill in just because we need that voice because he's the front man. But in any
Oh.
case, back to hitting
Well,
hard. Uh,
I play guitar and bass and
I know you do. I know you do.
yep.
Don't worry,
I
I got you in my mind.
I like I do like your guys' stuff, you know what I mean? And once I release a song with you, right, you could say, "Hey, you know what? I play for Frank too."
True. Yeah,
We'll
definitely. I'm
talk
down with
about
that.
my stuff another day.
Okay, but yeah, Clarity was written before I was in the band, but my interpretation of what they wrote in the drums is pretty spot on to what the guitar player originally had put down in the drum program when they wrote the song.
Hmm.
Um, and the drummer they had before, he added his own tweaks to it, and so when I joined, I did the same, but they didn't re-record it. Um,
Oh, okay.
it didn't make any sense to do that. They'd already released that album. So in any case, my interpretation live is pretty much spot on with a few extra little tweaks to certain fills. Um, but when I practice, I always practice to a click, which
Yeah.
helps me not have to focus too much on keeping time because the click does it for me. So I can focus more on hitting um, with authority, I guess you could say, in certain parts, but also laying back in the more relaxed parts, but still getting the point across with power and solid velocity to make sure that when you guys see us live, we bring the power, I guess is a good way to put it. A lot of people enjoy our live show because of the energy.
Definitely. I know. I'm looking forward to. I was like, when are you gonna come to upstate New York, man? Come on.
Working on it.
I'll come
Working on it.
out, do an interview, this and this.
Yeah, man. I would
Maybe
totally
we'll
be down.
see Enemy on the show one day soon here. What do you think?
I think we can make it happen.
All right. We'll get together with you and everybody else.
Sounds good, man.
All right, guys out there, have a good one. We're going to end this broadcast here on Palangi Studio of Rock. Tune in here for next week for another interview here. And then, you can play reruns and stuff like that on our social media through the video versions. And, when I don't have a show going on, a new show, I do play reruns of guests that we've had in the past. We've had a lot of cool guests, including Mr. David Nestor.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank
Happy
you,
to be here.
David. I'll see you later, man.
All right, later, dude.